Every basic ability, skill, and talent can be developed through hard work, good strategies, persistence, dedication, and input from others. Where focus goes, energy flows. So focus and stop wasting time thinking about looking smart. Build resistance, build vulnerability, build courageousness, and face adversity with a smile. Become comfortable with uncomfortable. You know, the only person that you need to prove anything to is you. Imperfect action trumps perfect inaction. Stop wasting time and get on with it. Failure is part of learning, so start learning by taking action.
Christian Lavolsi, welcome to the hot seat. It is Tuesday. How are you going?
I'm very well, thank you, Simone, and you?
I'm good. Now we've just bounced straight off a client call and we're here on the hot seat. And I wanted to talk about something that in today's topic that I've noticed coming up with a lot of people that I'm speaking to, and that's about their price lists and what they offer within their services. And something that I've really noticed a lot of lately is people saying, oh, I kind of just build things as I'm going, or I can't have a succinct price list or a service list because I just have so many different things depending on what people are asking me for. So I wanted to dig into that today and ask you some questions around that. And my first question for you today, Christian, is how do you actually get clear on what your product or service is? Is this kind of a scarcity mindset that we get in, that we're just kind of throwing any service or product at people, or is there a reason behind being flexible in that kind of approach?
Well, hi, Simone. Look, I think getting clear on your product or service as an offer or an offering in general begins by defining the core value that you deliver to your clients, okay? So clients, customers, patients, wherever you might be on that service business journey. But you got to start by identifying the main problem that you solve, or even the primary need that you fill. Okay, really interesting there. So you're either the main problem that you solve or the primary need that you fill. Now, this clarity will actually guide your business decisions and marketing strategies, ensuring you focus on what truly matters to the target audience. Now, I've got a little bit of a step-by-step approach that we take, particularly with our customers on demand clients, and who are generally service-based businesses looking to generate warmer leads, develop sales confidence, and also get really clear about their product. So under the product, getting clear about the product area, this is kind of the game plan. And so one of them is identifying your customer pain points, right? So what specific challenges do your customers face that your product or service can address, right? So, and then you got to engage directly with them or directly with those customers through either surveys, interviews, Facebook, to understand the needs deeply, right? The second thing that I would say to people to do is then analyze your most successful offerings, right? Look at the past sales data. Which products or services have been successful, right? Understand what has worked well in the past, and then highlight what your business could focus on. The other big one is differentiation. What makes you unique? There are so many people selling the same shit. Like, if you're a physio and you run a physio practice, then there's a lot of other physio practices, right? If you're a psychologist and you all got taught the same thing, Freud and Jung and everyone else along the way. What makes you unique? Is it the type of specialization you have? What is it? But ultimately, what really makes you stand out? So consider what makes your offer unique compared to your competitors. Okay, is it one-to-one? Is it one-to-many? Whatever that might be. Then you've got to look at simplifying your message. So once you understand your core offering, right, you've got to articulate it simply. The way you do that, I guess, is you use clear, concise messaging that communicates the value directly as well as effectively. And finally, my favorite thing to do is always test and get feedback, right? So you introduce your defined offering to a small segment of the market, and you use that feedback to redefine and adjust the approach, right? So by focusing on those steps, I think that you'll actually be able to articulate a very clear but focused product and service offering that resonates with your customers, clients, or patients, ensuring that every addition or enhancement directly aligns with their needs as well as their business goals, right? That's kind of it.
Yeah, okay. Well, my second question kind of flows into what you were just saying there then, and I want to go back to what you mentioned about asking your clients or your customers for feedback. Is there times throughout the year or certain intervals where you should be continuing to get that information from them so you can look at what you're offering and whether you need to adjust that, what they're really loving, what they don't like inside of what you're doing?
Hell yeah. Right? So absolutely, right? Reflecting on...
The word of the week for BGM is reflect. I think it's the word of the month, actually.
It's probably been the word of the year, right? So yeah, reflecting on whether to expand your offering at a specific time during the year is actually a strategic approach, which can actually lead to substantial growth as well as adaptation in a changing market. Now, let's be really clear: we're not experiencing a recession in Australia, but I can guarantee you we are. Right, so we haven't had 2 quarters in a row where growth is slow because we've got certain industries bumping that up. But if when you start seeing a lot of hospitality, retail businesses starting to suffer and closing, now a lot of these were already struggling before we started giving handouts during COVID, so we're now seeing that. But I think there's been an increase of almost 100% insolvencies month on month since February. And that's going to continue. So if you're a service-based business and you're not in a recession-proof industry like psychologists or doctors or medical practitioners, then there is a storm coming. So being able to look at how your offer retracts and expands is really important. So what I would normally recommend is an annual review, Simone. A quarterly, so an annual review at a minimum, right? Like review your pricing, review, you review everything, right? So you got to conduct a comprehensive annual review of your whole business performance, right? And this should be fiscal year end and considering financial performance as well as market changes comprehensively, right? And this allows you to then look at what are the opportunities and what are the challenges. Now, the other minimum that I would recommend and that we recommend all of our clients, whether it be in Boardroom, Evolve, or here or our one-on-ones, is quarterly check-ins, right? Every quarter you got to review your product's performance, your customer feedback, and your market trends. Simple, right? Then you've got to look at 3 other significant areas that I look at quite closely, and that is major market industry events. Right, so if there's a significant seasonal peaks or things that are influenced by specific events, the other thing is, things like the current economy, the economic condition, the market trends that are happening, those bits and pieces all play a significant part. So then there's also, if you're launching a new product, right, or introducing a new service, then you really need a 30, 60, 90-day plan after launch, and this provides you with quick insights that can inform you on whether you want to double down or pivot. Okay, really, really important. And so then the other thing is, we talked about economic shifts, but there's also consumer shifts. Like sometimes, people are right into Tamagotchis, and then all of a sudden they're not. Right? Yeah. People are doing the whole Pokemon craze and doing crazy shit and doing meetups, and then they're not. I remember when I was a kid, basketball cards and baseball cards were like all the rage. And I still have, some baseball cards and basketball cards that are worth thousands of dollars. And my son is now into AFL cards. And so, I went and had a look at the value, and, I've got some cards still sitting in glass, sealed, screwed things that, were a couple of grand then, and I just found out that my Hakeem Olajuwon dual defensive all-star card is worth like $5,000. And I'm like, oh my God. So, you got to, even though things might not be in trend anymore, they still might increase in value because there are still collectors. I can tell you now, you're better off collecting minted coins than you are baseball cards, at least, or basketball cards, in my opinion. But that's only my limited opinion, and I'm not very good at this stuff. So I think, look, the key is if you schedule regular reviews of your product line or services, you'll actually ensure that your offering remains aligned with customer needs and market conditions, but also relevant. Right, really important that you got to stay relevant. Right now, allowing you to adapt strategically is really much more important than being reactive. Right, like I hate people and things that are reactive. Like clients that come to me and like they want to be reactive. It's like, dear God, are we not planning every quarter? I mean, in our Evolve program, we do game plans every 4 weeks to keep them accountable. Right, every 4 weeks, and it works. The repetitions, the cadences, they increase and they scale. But for me, sometimes it's like heartbreaking because it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that I've got to plan for you, every 4 weeks in order for you to do it. But then I forget that I'm a veteran of 80 different ventures, and I've made the same mistakes they made when they were on their first venture, right?
Yeah.
Like, so and that's my job. But it's trying to manage that, right?
Yeah.
So okay.
I just want to go back a little bit to what you were saying about having those regular intervals of getting that feedback from your clients. Is this a separate process to having testimonials and getting that kind of data? Is that the way that you're collecting the feedback, or should this actually be a separate process from that to be a reflection on your business? Or, can you do a 2-for-1 when you're doing that kind of thing?
You always love just wanting to force me to open the curtain a little bit more into my deep, dark secrets. Look, and that was a very leading question. It's very cheeky of you, Simone. So, look, we do use testimonials as a reference point because, and you know this well, we get testimonials pretty much in the first 2 weeks that someone has worked with us, and then we get them intermittently through their journey. Why? Because we can build incredibly excellent case studies, but really it gives us the pulse of the organization, right? It allows us to truly understand where someone is at in their journey, but also how we're performing, right? We also do, after a momentum weekends, we put out surveys and we make sure that, we're managing the engagement scores and other bits and pieces. So absolutely, I mean, and I'm always asking for feedback. I mean, I'm a junkie for feedback because I've got a massive ego. So I want to know that I'm doing a good job, and I also want to know when I'm not. There are very few times that I'm not, and I want to know about it so I can make those improvements. And if you're in business and you don't want to know that you are being incredibly customer centric, then you won't last in business. My job is to create raving fans. I want, like I've been called a cult leader many times, right? Because when people meet members of our tribe who are raving fans about what we do as a team and as individuals, that can come across that way. But that's intentional, right? That means I'm truly helping people live their best life, and that's what I'm here for. That's what we're all here for. Like, that's what we're here for. And if we're not, and we're providing shit service, we need to know about it, right? And I think this is all about this notion of creating raving fans. I think Ken Blanchard wrote a phenomenally brilliant book about it, in the 90s, right? That is still very significant today. If you don't put your customer first in your offer and in your strategic plan, then you're failing. Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. All right. I have one more question for you because that was not my third question. That was just a bonus one that I threw in because it came into my mind and I wanted to ask. My third question for you, Christian, is how can you get that clarity to your offer but still be flexible around what your client wants? So how do you be clear and succinct in what you do? And if the feedback isn't quite in alignment with that, how much do you take that on to say, I'm going to adjust my program because someone said, in our example, I don't like having a 4-week game plan. And do you really take that on and How do you measure the client's feedback to what you actually implement as yourself in the business?
I think there's a couple of ways to answer this, but firstly, if someone is a client within your framework, then you don't change your framework to adapt for one client. Okay, the reason why these clients are coming to you is because you're the expert. All right, and if a client thinks that they're a bigger expert than you, then tell them to fuck off. Right, like it kind of works that way. If you're in the advisory game, like I am as well, then you have to listen to what the clients all of it, because they know their business intimately, right? So, like, obviously, I've got lots of one-of-one high-end advisory clients, hospitals, engineering firms, design studios, whatever they may be. Big real estate companies, buyers agencies. So again, all service-based businesses, one or two products. But those people, I have to really adapt my style, but without developing biases. Does that make sense? So that makes a difference. But in Evolve or in COD, that we built those frameworks because we know that's what people need in order to get to that 8-figure business or that 7-8 figure, right? So you can't make the changes. Like, we've created more work for ourselves along that journey, right? Because we realize that the people need more support, right? And, the Evolve program is incredibly involved. It's not a program for someone who wants to scratch the surface. You either play full out or you fuck off. Like, there's no in between. And we've had really good people who have left because they can't cope with the intensity that we work to and the accountability that we work to. But people that have left on really good terms because they're like, Christian, this is amazing. I just can't commit this level of work to it, and I don't want someone who can't commit. So it's such a win-win, right? So staying true to that. But I think what's really important is you got to balance, right? You're balancing clarity in your core offering, Simone, with flexibility to adapt to clients' needs, depending on where you are, is actually crucial. Okay? But you've got to process it like I've just done. That's why I thought I'd give you the caveat first of why and whatnot, and then now remember, this is just my own opinion, right? Like I haven't written a PhD on the area, but you'd think after 80 ventures I'd have a PhD in 1, failure, and 2, mild success, but no university will award me one on that basis. They so should. I've spent way more money than you would normally need to. But look, I think there's a simple 7 or 8 steps that I would kind of look at to do that. One is you always define your core offering clearly, right? Absolutely well defined. That's going to be very clear what you do, right? Then you've got to create some kind of tiered option. Now, you guys would have heard me talk about customers on demand, Evolve, boardroom, and advisory, right? So that's 4 different ways that you can work with someone like us, but it's also 4 different ways we can accommodate. Right, so if you're a startup, if you're a mum with 3 children, with a shift working husband, working from home, building a business, sound funny, right? And you want to get, so there's no point in going into a program like Evolve, right? Because you're already going to be established and developing. So we built Customers on Demand, which is all about sales, marketing, and confidence. Right, and it's also targeted at that very low price point that gets people in, builds their confidence up, gives them confidence in their products. So this tiered option is so important. But we also did it because I'm selfish, right? I don't want to take someone just to 4 or 5 figures. I want to take them to 6, and I'm even more selfish. And so I've realized that the skills that people need through my own experience to go from 5 figures to 6 to 7 is. They need different frameworks, different systems, because now you're employing people. So, it all comes down to, when you get over that $1 million mark in a service-based business in particular, you have a lot of other things that get in the way, like infrastructure, people, leadership, marketing, right? So we then work on those elements. And then when you get to the bigger end of town, like, with the big advisory stuff, well, that's hardcore strategy. Right? So that's a totally different game altogether. But the beauty of it is people can access me and our team all the way through the journey. Now, some people would say, oh, that's confusing people. Not when you're like us. Like us is where we're not a one-stop shop. we're a one-stop. We're a business journey is what I'm trying to get at, right? Because businesses are journeys, and some people like to stop at some point too. They go, all right, cool. I'm happy to have $1 million business making me $300,000 a year profit. That's all cool. You can stay there, but you still got to develop and evolve, right? So the tiered options is really important. What you've got to do though too, and I think I've already addressed this, is you've got to implement all the modular add-ons, right? Now we did that in our tiered offering, but what we also do is we add those add-ons and they're included in the products and services because they're things people need to progress. COD, you have weekly training, right? In addition to the 16-week coursework that you've got to do. You've also got support calls in place, right? And so, and then there's different scales in there. You can never undervalue the feedback loops that you need. Okay, or having mentors in your business, because that gives you a good indication of the flexibility that you really need. But at the same time, flexibility needs to be communicated, right? If you don't set boundaries, and this is the challenge I have because I don't know who we're talking to. There's a lot of people watching again. This is becoming quite cool. So please just let them know that you comment somewhere. We can't see anything. It's because I really need to go and do an eCam course and learn how to use this thing much better than I do. But I'm not really the tech person at that level, at that very small level. But I think that the point I'm trying to make is you've got to stay educated, you've got to stay agile, right? Yeah. And that's what will allow you to be flexible. It's not about chopping up your program. And really, I come back to that boundaries, right? While flexibility is important, Simone, while flexibility is important, right? You got to establish those really clear boundaries regarding how much you can customize without jeopardizing your own scalability and quality, right? If I'd stayed just in advisory work, I could have never grown to where we are now, right? Because it was just the whole dependency on just me. People only want me at that advisory level, and I get it. Right, I have the expertise. I'm well read. I'm educated. It's all of those things. But I'm also an expert in growth, right? But I'm actually an expert in strategic thinking. Right? There's lots of people that just hire me for a half a day just to go in, and I don't know anything about them. They give me a brief. I read it. Right, I bill them for the reading of the brief, and then I go in and I pull their business apart. And that's all I might see of someone. But they go off and they make lots of money out of that. But some people just need that as a sounding board sometimes. And so but the thing is, I could never scale that. Something happens to me. I mean, there's life insurance. That's great. But that's it. That model. And so when I was looking at building what I wanted to do out, it was twofold. It was one, build a legacy and security for my family and all my stakeholders, all my clients. But I also wanted to help more of those startups, more of those side hustle mums, and even dudes. But we do a lot of work with a lot of mums. And why? Because they've already got a full mental load, but they also want the flexibility of not going into a corporate job that's suffocating them. But then they get stuck. They get stuck on this, oh my gosh, I'm stuck at $3,000 a month and I can't move, so I have to keep my corporate job. And now my mental load is, and so I wanted to build something for them because I just thought, hang on a minute, I've helped all of these startups scale like crazy, raise all this capital. But where's mum and dad in this? These are the people that are raising the future generations. And so and I also want them to not give up on their dreams and their aspirations. And sometimes you're only one freaking good idea away from succeeding, but actually you're only one piece of advice away from succeeding. Okay, and so hence why we built customers on demand, and as you guys say to me all the time, it's so cheap, right? Why? Because I want to build a community, right? And we've already had 2-3 people go from customers on demand into Evolve, and that's a big jump, right? And that's because the success they've had. That's hugely impactful in less than 12 months, right? And now you think of those 3 people, we transform their lives and their families' lives. What a kick do we get out of that? Come on, what kick do you get out of that? Now it's a great
wonderful
kick.
To watch it. Yeah.
That's right. And so adapting our product offering, but also being rigid at the same time, is what's going to help our customers win, right? So I think that's kind of it. That summarizes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I digressed a little bit, but I wanted to just share. I always love to share on these calls what we've been through, what I've been through over the years, because it's really, really important for context for anyone listening. It's all well and good for me to spit out a whole bunch of crap that, you could probably pull out of ChatGPT or anywhere else, because, half of the shit that's in my head is probably in some book that I've read too. But the reality is it's that experience, that why did you do it, that's so important. And I think this is why, we've got a lot of people that I'm surrounded by and that I work with at all levels. Some of them are, hardcore academics with PhDs. And yet they come to me for advice because they know that, I'm the practitioner and the theorist, right? Mm-hmm. So, I'm on my desk at the moment, I've got 5 books that I'm reading. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. I'm listening to 2 and I'm like, ugh. And I looked at it the other day, I said, I'm getting into some serious heavy reading at the moment with a psychology book. And it's like, I got to turn off everything else, otherwise I can't get the very best out of it. But ultimately, Simone, if people are out there and they're struggling with their core offer, then they really need to come and have a chat to you, and they need to look at what is that roadmap. Maybe when we finish this, they need to put up a link for a 15-minute chat with you so you can uncover whether or not they actually do have a product problem or an attitude problem. Right, and we know that can be that's what I like to always identify. Do you have a product problem or an attitude problem? A lot of the time, it's an attitude problem that people have. Illusions of grandeur. I meet people that think they should be selling their products for $20,000, and I laugh, and I'm like, mate, I have credibility and trust, and I don't sell my product for that much. How can you go out and do it? And that's because all these other crappy coaches out there are telling people to sell high ticket, and it's like, shut up. Go credibility, mate. What have you done? Right? And it's hard when you're established and you're good, because you struggle to break down things simply. And so even I have advisors above me that I pay really well to get the information I need to sharpen my tools. I'm in an amazing coaching circle with some phenomenal people that just, they lick me off the floor. Like I'm like nothing compared to these guys. And we're completely different industries, but it's the same systems and processes that in order to get there. And so for me, it's about going out and learning. I love the idea that I'm not the best person in a room. That's something I strive for. I don't want to be the smartest. I'm sick and tired of being the smartest person in a room all the time. And for the benefit of our clients, I need to go into other rooms where I'm not, so I can bring that information back and I can help them evolve.
Yeah.
Right. And that's part of this whole product offering, and moving along through the process. Okay, that's it. I got to go to a meeting.
Well, Christian Lavolsi, that sums up product and service offerings and what you should do if you're feeling a little bit lost with yours or haven't reflected on it a while. If you haven't thought about that for a while, this is a great hot seat episode to listen back on and just go, where am I at? When was the last time I lifted my prices? When was the last time I asked my clients about this? So thank you so much for your time and insights. As always, we'll be back next Tuesday with the hot seat.
Thank you very much, Simone. You have a wonderful afternoon. And here's a little short message from our friend Adrian.
Working with Christian is a game changer. Hi, I'm Adrian Lee from GrowthLink Coaching and Consulting. I started working with Christian in August 2020 as his LinkedIn growth consultant. We worked together on his LinkedIn brand for about 12 months before becoming business partners in Growth Outsourced late 2021. Christian is a hidden genius. He helped me break through a significant financial target by restructuring my growth consulting online business offer. I don't know of any one person who can give you so much focus, clarity, and structure to live your purpose and get shit done. He holds you accountable to your words and gives you the tough love when you need it. I love his no BS approach to business and life. Everyone needs a Christian Lavolsi in their life. Do whatever you have to work with Christian. This is just the beginning for us, and I am super pumped to continue growing together. Thanks again, Christian.